The sky over the Middle East shows no clear sign that the flames of war are fading. Every day brings new strikes and counterstrikes, deepening the sense of uncertainty. Although the ongoing confrontation between Iran, the United States, and Israel has now crossed the 2-week mark, it is still unclear where or how it will end. Will the conflict escalate into a much larger war, or will an unexpected announcement suddenly bring it to a halt? This is the question the world is now watching closely. And amid this rising tension, an important development has emerged. Serious disagreements appear to be forming inside the United States itself over how the war should proceed. As a result, a new question is gaining attention. What is the real objective of this conflict, and which path will U.S. President Donald Trump ultimately choose? According to a report by Reuters, the Trump administration itself is increasingly divided over the ongoing military pressure on Iran. Some influential advisors believe the United States should intensify its military stance. In their view, failing to take a firm position now could allow Iran to grow stronger in the future. They argue that concerns about Iran's nuclear program make it essential to maintain strong pressure until the country's military capabilities are significantly weakened. However, another group within the administration is sending a very different message. They warn that becoming entangled in another prolonged conflict in the Middle East could create major political and economic risks for the United States. According to them, the longer the war continues, the more global tensions and market instability will increase. The impact is already being felt in the energy sector, where fears of rising oil prices are beginning to emerge. Such increases could directly affect the everyday lives of American citizens. This concern is shared by several key officials in the Trump administration. White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles and her deputy James Blair reportedly believe that if fuel prices begin rising rapidly, public support for the war could quickly decline. Gasoline prices have a direct impact on voters, and a sudden increase could create significant political pressure. For that reason, they are advising President Trump to define limited military objectives and signal a possible end to the conflict sooner rather than later. On the other hand, some influential figures advocating a harder line strongly disagree. Republican Senators Lindsey Graham and Tom Cotton, along with analyst Mark Levin, believe that easing military pressure on Iran would be a major mistake. They argue that if Iran is not confronted firmly now, it could move even closer to acquiring nuclear weapons in the future. From their perspective, maintaining strong military pressure is essential. All of this has effectively created two competing camps within the Trump administration, one advocating the continuation of military pressure and the other pushing for a quicker end to the conflict. According to analysts, this internal division has added another layer of uncertainty to the future of the war. Another important development has also been noticed. At the beginning of the conflict, President Donald Trump spoke about achieving major strategic victories. Recently, however, his tone appears to have shifted slightly. Instead of emphasizing large-scale military goals, the conflict is now being described more as a limited military operation. Analysts believe this change in language could be a strategic step toward preparing the ground for ending the war sooner rather than later. Some officials within the White House have even hinted that President Trump might soon declare that the primary military objectives of the operation have been achieved. If such an announcement comes, it could provide a pathway for gradually stepping away from the conflict. Yet many international analysts believe the situation is far from simple. Iran may view the outcome of the war very differently. For Iran's leadership, the greatest success may not necessarily be a major military victory, but simply remaining in power and maintaining its strategic position. In particular, if Iran manages to inflict even limited damage to the United States, Israel, or their allies through retaliatory strikes, it could present that outcome domestically and regionally as a form of victory. Doing so would help Iran reinforce its political influence and maintain a strong position in regional politics. Ultimately, the Middle East conflict now stands at a critical crossroads where every decision could have major consequences. Will the war continue to escalate, or will the world suddenly hear an announcement that it is coming to an end? That answer remains uncertain, but one reality is becoming increasingly clear. On this battlefield, the struggle is not only about weapons and military power, it is equally a contest of political strategy, influence, and power calculations.